From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's time to dive into the world of Casper College athletics with another episode of the Casper College Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Phil Kohler.
Welcome fans of the Casper College Coaches Show. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, joined as always by the head coach of the Casper College Thunderbirds, Tom Parks. Coach, another big weekend for you. You guys get another victory, 23-8 overall, extend the win streak to 10, but more importantly, you guys get win number 1 in the conference tournament on that hopeful road to Hutch.
Right, absolutely.
So at the start of the season, Coach, it was a lot of, stick with us, things are coming, stick with us, we're gonna get there. Kind of seems like you're getting there. Do you feel like you guys have kind of reached that peak of you're playing your best basketball right now?
Well, I feel like we've reached it twice. We just had a little bit of an intermission.
Yeah, sure.
And so I think it's kind of the direction that we were trying to head. We could, in practice, and when you're within the program, you see everything behind closed doors, and you see how responsive the guys are, and how coachable they are, and how much they're trying to go out and do what you're asking them to do. As a coach, that's really all you could ask for, right? Sometimes things don't go your way and you lose a game, but they've never let that deter them from getting better. And so, we just thought because how coachable they are and how connected they are, we thought, hey, we got a chance if we do our job as coaches and keep trying to teach them and emphasize things that we feel like impact winning.
Yeah. Well, we start Region 9 play with a big win against Eastern Wyoming. You guys hosted them last Saturday, 114-94, in a game that a 20-point victory, but wasn't necessarily that close, especially in the first half.
Right.
We kind of talked about it was kind of a weird first half. What do you mean by it was a weird first half?
I just feel like there was a lot of things that were just uncharacteristic of who we've been. Just things. Like passes just going through guys' hands.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And it's playoffs, so there might have been a little bit more nerves, even though it was a team that we had success in. There's probably a little bit more nerves. But my take on it is that I feel like the basketball gods were just saying, hey, you know what? We're going to put you guys in check real quick.
Kind of humble you a little bit.
Humble you a little bit
sure.
and give you that humbling experience and learning experience in a game that you can still win even if you play that way, because I don't know if that can be the way here on out. And I'm encouraged. Our guys definitely felt the same way, and we did make a very quick run to put us up 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of okay, let's go do this. And we did it, and that was the game.
Well, and even when the basketball gods are humbling you, having guys like Abdul and Darius certainly helps. Both of those guys go for 33 points. We talk on this show a lot about when those two guys are both clicking, man, you guys are a really good basketball team.
Yeah, no, for sure. And there was kind of an instance in the game where Abdul was open, Darius wanted the ball, Abdul took a shot, Darius why didn't you pass? And it was kind of this thing on the bench, and it lasted a very short amount of time.
Sure.
And they hugged it out, and everyone was good. But in the process, we talked about a team, it's just two guys that want to win, that are making shots, that want the ball in their hands, that want to help their team win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so, having two guys go for 33, I think it's the second time that they've both gone for 30 in a game. I think it'll be hard for teams to stop us, on offense when that is happening.
Yeah. Well, and even, you add in Nate Sasser goes for 19 points. And then, of course, the janitor down below gets his 100th block of the season in 31 games. About 3 blocks a game. We talk on this show a lot about how important he is. But, man, you talk about how every possession matters. And when this guy is blocking 3 shots a game and just basically ending 3 possessions for the defense, talk about how important that is, and especially making this tournament run here and how important he's going to be.
Yeah, he's a luxury to have. That's for sure, especially with what he does defensively. But he changes the game a lot on both ends of the floor. I think he's underrated a lot of areas offensively, and I think there's going to be some things that we try to do against Otero where he's going to be able to showcase some things just with how they guard ball screens and stuff like that. Being able to pressure the ball to the point where if you get beat, someone's there waiting, being able to, close out and contest shots and knowing that, there's going to be someone there down a rebound so we can start our break. Like I said, sometimes it's a little bit of a curse because we get so used to him blocking every shot that sometimes we put him in tough situations. We get so used to him rebounding everything that sometimes we leak out a little bit, because we're like, hey, let's start this break. Josh is down there, and it's great to have that confidence in him, but, you know, we've still got to have other guys
Yeah.
who step up and do some things. So.
And he's certainly done a lot of good things for you guys this year. But looking ahead, now you guys really jump into the actual Region 9 tournament Thursday. You guys are heading down to Western Nebraska, where you guys will play Otero in the first round, Thursday night, 5 o'clock. What have you seen from Otero on film so far?
A lot. I mean, I'm different. I mean, Saturday night, like, I'm already, like, pulling stats and things like that, and trying to make sure that Otero was our matchup, because I hadn't received an updated bracket when they received it, and just me being new, I was blowing people up, some of the coaches, and emailing Paul and stuff. I was trying to find out, because I was like, man, I got an extra day, you know, and that's just how my mind works. And so, you know, watched probably their last 4 games, watched a bunch of clips of them, you know, versus different types of defenses and things like that. And, I mean, they're a good team. I mean, they return a lot of people. You know, they have a lot of sophomores. They have a lot of guys with experience. I think they're very confident. They play hard on the defensive end. And they really get up in passing lanes and pressure the ball. But they've been up and down. They've had games and stretches in games where, I mean, they look like, you know, one of the best teams that would be on our schedule. And then they have lapses where they let teams get back into it. So, we'll see. I mean, it's the playoffs, and, you know, every team has a chance to win it, and that's also like a carrot that's dangled over every single team. And until the buzzer ends and you're on the losing side of it, like, your season's still alive, and you got a chance to cut down nets and get to the national tournament.
Yeah, 3 wins away is all it takes. A team that comes in 13-17 overall, but they have won 3 in a row. And like you said, over 90% of their minutes come from guys that are sophomores. So a lot of experience there, and again, they're playing well. They beat a North Platte team 91-87 in overtime. So they're going to be coming in with a little bit of confidence for guys that are averaging double figures. So really a lot to look forward to in that game. The one big thing, they do come in 1-5 against Region North opponents. They lost twice to Central Wyoming, they lost to LCCC, and then they beat a Western Wyoming team. Did you get a chance to watch them against a common opponent to kind of get a feel for what they've done?
Yeah, I've watched some clips. I haven't watched any full game films because it was a little bit further back. It will take more of a look, but I mean, I think the North is really strong.
Sure.
And you know, I think you look at teams, especially in the North, before they started conference play, some of their overall records and things like that. And, you know, outside Gillette and us, like, a lot of those teams just beat up on each other, you know, especially like that 3, 4, 5, 6 seed. So, yeah, I think the North is strong, but I think it's hard to tell with Otero because they've had so many guys that have been out with injuries or out for other reasons where, you know, they'll have almost a key player that doesn't play almost every game. And you kind of don't know what the puzzle looks like altogether because, like I said, they're key players. So sometimes a different guy's taking shots in one game because someone's out, or they're running more of this set because somebody's out, and they normally run this set for that guy that's out. And so it's there's a little bit of uncertainty more than normal just because, again, it's like who's actually going to play. I think they played the guys that they were hoping to play in their last game. And so that's probably the best tell of what they're going to do. But, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, you know. And like I said, everyone's playing for something.
Yeah, of course.
So you know, like, the teams are going to play hard. Like, that factor you can remove because both teams are going to go compete.
Sure. When you talk about the North being so competitive, I mean, you look at your second-round opponent. Central was looking like a team that was probably going to be the third best team in the North. Northwest comes down and beats them at Central, and now they're your potential second-round opponent as they'll take on a Western Nebraska team. You guys have played both of those teams so far this year. Does that give you a little bit of an edge knowing that you've seen them both already?
I think if you play somebody that you haven't played, it gives you an advantage.
Of course,
If you play somebody you have played, it gives you an advantage. It's just a different type of advantage. And the thing about it is everybody's in the same position. So if we were to play Western Nebraska, like, we both played each other, but it was the first game of the year. We're both different teams. And so it's almost like you're still playing a new team. Obviously, Northwest would be a little bit different. But, yeah, it's fun kind of going through and just, like, seeing how the bracket has played out already and what teams have won and, you know, what you anticipated one matchup and there's a different one. And I think that's how March works. Like, you can't really, like, tell, you know, people have their odds and their percentage of who's going to win, but you really never know.
And that's evidence in the NCAA tournament every year, right?
Exactly.
You just never really know. And so to that point, you guys are going to play hopefully 3 games in 3 days. How do you scout that? I mean, if you had to give a percentage, what part of your percentage of scout is going into Otero right now, and then looking ahead at round 2 and potentially at round 3?
I mean, honestly, like 100% is going into Otero.
Yeah.
I mean, just because that's the only one that's guaranteed.
Right.
You know, and again, every opponent's in the same boat. I think at our level, and this is just my own thought, if I go out there and we run a bunch of stuff that Northwest runs or that Western Nebraska runs, you know, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I also think like it's going to confuse our guys.
Yeah.
You know, we'll flip the switch, and fortunately, I mean, we've played a ton of back-to-backs, and we've also had 2 different times where we've played 3 games. You know, we went to CSI and played 3 games in 3 days. Yeah. You know, and although the record when we were up there wasn't the record we wanted, like we were competitive on night 3 against CSI, you know, on their showdown 7 o'clock Saturday night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Very good team. Yeah.
And then we go to Gillette and we play 3 games in 3 days and we win all 3.
Right.
And we play our toughest opponent, Dawson, on day 3 at 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I think and again, like we had done nothing to prepare for Dawson that week. We showed up and we played Miles. We showed up and we played Williston, and then I stayed up late at night until I couldn't keep my eyes open and tried to figure out the angles of Dawson. And then we woke up and we shared, you know, that game plan with the team the next morning, you know, so.
Well, and to that point, I mean, with this tournament, you guys get seated in the later time slot. So you guys will play at 5 o'clock Thursday. If you win, it'll be 7 o'clock Friday. With that, do you guys have that extra time in the morning where you guys can kind of walk through some things once you know who your opponent's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll take advantage of, I mean, and first day, you know, you get a 30-minute shoot around, which I think is just kind of like, hey, let's get used to the court. Okay. You know, let's get in here. Let's get some shots up. Yeah. You know, I don't think we would spend much time walking through stuff versus just getting reps on their court. You know, and then the second and third day, you get an hour. Yeah. You know, and shoot, if you wanted more than an hour on Thursday, I don't know why you would. Sure. You'd probably get more. But I think using those shoot-around times, you know, using times to go over scouting reports and watch film. I mean, Dion is amazing with film, and he's done a lot this year, just personnel, tendencies, keys to the game, just different things that we show our guys, you know, so we don't have to watch 3 full game films. We can just watch a bunch of clips from, you know, times we played them in the past if it's a conference opponent. So, you know, we'll do a lot with video, you know, but we'll also on rest, we'll do our best to eat good. Trainer's going to go up there, which is nice. So nice. She'll kind of have a little, like, you know, makeshift training room set up in her room so our guys can get treatment throughout the day. So.
Would you say Dion is like a 3-war or a 4-war? Coach Gennari said you don't know what war is in baseball. Is that true?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
He was giving you a hard time on the show last week.
I mean, I don't know why, you know, Coach Gennari's talking about me on camera to the world.
Throwing you under the bus, totally.
But no, he broke that down for and Coach Macy. If we're gonna throw people under the bus, we throw Coach Macy under the bus.
Coach Macy was under there as well.
Okay, good, because he was in the same boat. I just hid out in my office more.
Yeah, no, he definitely threw you guys both under the bus last week. So I'm glad we got that taken care of. So then, last question for you, Coach. You guys, again, the 3 games in 3 days. You guys get to Saturday night. When you get there, is it, you know, depending on who you play, you're looking at potentially maybe a Gillette, maybe a Trinidad, but obviously there's 2 other teams that you could be playing as well. Is it kind of you get to Saturday night and you're just going to go out there and do your thing and go play? Is there still a little bit of scout? Is it just going to be a quick rundown if it is somebody like Trinidad that you haven't seen yet this year?
I think, I mean, one, we've played 3 out of the 4 teams on the other side. So, you know, that's at least a good feeling, right? Yep. You know, and 2 are in your league. Yep. So that's a good thing. But I think you always got to try to find an angle. You know, I'm not going to give too much away, but I think with Otero, I think there's 3 or 4 things that we feel like maybe are areas that, you know, of weakness for them that we feel like we can expose. And I think you always got to stay true to yourself, but it's like, okay, so how can we take what we already do, you know, and look at what they don't do well or what we think they might struggle with it more well, and like what areas do we have that can expose that. And so I think you always got to have to do that. You know, you always got to try to give your guys the best, you know, personnel scout. I think personnel at our level, there's a lot of, this guy's a driver, this guy's a shooter, this guy's only go on left.
Yeah, right.
You know, this guy can, go both hands. You know, this guy can finish with both hands, drive with both. I mean, I just think that, like, all those little things, you just never know in a one-possession game what's going to be the difference, right? And so we're not going to have time to, like, go through Trinidad sets and, like, walk through everything. A lot of those things are going to be, like, staying true to our principles and what we've done all year. So a lot of it is just go out there and play and do what you do good. But I think if there's a few things, here and there, like we'll guard if it's Gillette, we've played them twice and we tweaked a little bit on how we guard a few of their guys. And maybe if we're playing Northwest or even Central, we did stuff different. So I think there'll always be a few things we tweak, but nothing major. I mean, at that point, you've played 30-something games and have been practicing since August, and it's going to be what you do.
Go on and do it, yeah. Do your thing,
it's going to be, what determines if you win or not.
Last question, and I didn't ask you this off camera, but how important is winning this tournament for you, and more importantly for the guys? How important would it be to get that opportunity to go to Hutch and continue to play in this season a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, like, I don't want to take this the wrong way. Like, I don't know if I'd say it's important. It's just something that I feel like we're deserving of.
Sure.
I don't think it's a statement of entitlement. I think it's one of those things that, like, we've gone through some things, and the group's been very connected, but, like, that's not to say, like, there hasn't been hard times in the locker room.
Right.
That's not to say that, like, we go up and we lose on, single possession to Yavapai, or, we drop opening round conference game to Central and we're in the locker room for an hour and a half, overreacting, right? And things like that. But I think that's the biggest thing is I just feel like they've stuck with it and they're so close and they're so connected. I've always said it takes a special team to win a championship.
Sure.
And I'm very, like, honest with myself, and a year will go by and, I'll be hopeful going into the playoffs that, hey, we're going to win this region tournament, we're going to make a national tournament, and then we lose.
Yeah.
But then I really think about it, I'm like, it was a good team.
Yeah.
It was a fun team, but was it a special team? And I think this would be the one year that I would say, like, win or loss, like, damn, like, we should have won that because we were a special team. And not saying that Gillette, Trinidad, McCook, Otero, all those teams are not. It's just I feel like we've put in the work to be deserving of cutting down nets. And you just want it for guys like D-Rob,
exactly, yeah.
JP, Dre, because of how close they were last year. And you also, like, I want it for guys like Malik and Josh who, we're in a good situation before, but I feel like they've just thrived here in Casper, in the community, in the college, and I think they enjoy it so much being here. You just want to bring that back. Yeah. So yeah, it's important, but I just think that our guys deserve it because of what they've done this year and everything that they've gone through and stay together.
Yeah, well, and as a fan, I saw it was 1 year yesterday that they lost that game to Trinidad in the championship, and so as a guy that enjoys watching this team and has connected with Darius and JP and Dre, certainly want for those guys to be able to cut down that nets, and hopefully Saturday night's an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, fans, make sure you tune in Thursday night from the Western Nebraska YouTube channel. If you want to make your trip down there, certainly we would love to see you down there as well. But 5 o'clock on Thursday, hopefully 7 o'clock on Friday, and then we'll see you for a championship game on Saturday, hopefully. So, fans, remember to always shoot for the stars, because even if you miss, there's always a chance for an offensive rebound. Thanks for joining us.